Get ready for your daily dose of marketing strategies and tactics from entrepreneurs with the guile and experience to help you find success in any marketing capacity. You're listening to Marketing School with your instructors, Neil Patel and Eric Su.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Marketing School. I'm your host, Eric Su.
And I'm Neil Patel.
And today we're going to talk about where people waste their marketing efforts. Neil, what are your thoughts around this?
The biggest area that people are wasting their marketing efforts isn't on a tactic, it's hiring and overpaying people. You don't need a big marketing team. And some companies prefer running it that way, but you can do a lot with a lean operation. It was funny, I look at companies like HubSpot. They're much bigger than any of my businesses. They've done way better than me by far. But when I look at their marketing organization, the last time I was talking to them, this was over a year ago, they had over 60 people. So you can estimate that they have 4 times more traffic, maybe 5 or 6 now. But that's 60 people. When we were comparing my old startup to theirs, we had 3 people, 3 versus 60, and we were getting at that time 1/4 roughly the amount of traffic from what we were estimating, right? You don't want to hire too many people. Instead, you want to look for contractors. You can use writers from jobs.ProBlogger, right? .net. You can go to Upwork to look for other types of contractors on almost anything marketing related. You can just scour the web. The point I'm trying to make is when you hire too many full-time people, you'll find that it just slows down the process and they don't move anywhere near as fast as contractors. Plus, you end up paying more. So the biggest wastage that we see in marketing isn't on a specific tactic, and we will get into tactics. But the first thing I want to mention is it's usually hiring too many people. You don't need 10 people to be part of a blogging team. We have a blog that gets over 1 million visitors a month in a B2B niche. We only have 1 person on the blogging team. That's it. The rest of the writers, we use all contractors and stuff like that, editors, etc., to help us out. Again, all outsourced. It's really cheap. And when I mean outsourced, not necessarily overseas, all in the US. You can do overseas as well if that's what you want. But the key is make sure you're not hiring too many people internally.
My other thing is that marketers, and this is myself included, can get very ADD sometimes. And the thing is, especially when you're first starting out, you might want to focus your efforts more because let's say your budget is limited. You don't have the bandwidth or the money to do all these things at once. So I see people trying to do everything under the sun right now. We have talked about throwing spaghetti against the wall, but that doesn't mean throwing literally all the spaghetti against the wall, right? You have to be strategic about how you're approaching marketing, because just because you see a new topic around, let's try Facebook Live, or let's try, doing marketing funnels, or let's try conversion rate optimization when you're first starting out. It has to make sense kind of in terms of where your company is at. You can't try to do everything at once because you're going to spread yourself too thin and you're going to end up not getting results across the board. Versus if you focus maybe on, 2 or 3 different things, you're going to at least start to see something move. And then once you see the needle move on one thing, you can go all in on it. But just keep in mind, you don't want to overextend yourself. And that's something that I've seen happen quite a bit in the past. One startup, I helped in the past, their revenues were flat for about 2 years. And it's because they were trying everything under the sun and they didn't see that one of their channels was actually gaining traction. It's funny because, that channel was gaining traction for about 2 to 3 months and they didn't see those numbers and they actually shut that campaign down. So when you're doing all these things at once, you aren't able to notice kind of notice the granular stuff that's happening. And that's what's going to make or break a company. And, funny enough, that one channel that we dug into became their number 1 customer acquisition channel. So that, that's what it takes to, really have a successful business, especially when you're starting out.
The other area that I see companies wasting when it comes to marketing efforts is specific design related elements, right? So a lot of companies will try to create their own infographics. It's inefficient to try to do that on your own or hire people internally to do it. Anything that's small, like tasks, let's say like infographics, creating some blog posts, link building. At the beginning, you don't know if you should be doing them for the long haul. Yeah, you do know that more links helps increase SEO rankings, but you don't know that if you focus on building links, will you actually even get any links? So don't just go into a campaign budgeting out a lot of money for things like infographics, link building, writing a lot of blog posts when you don't know what the ROI is or how effective it's going to be. So what I would recommend is just getting consultants or contractors to do specific tasks. And then if you like them and you want to hire someone internally, by all means, do whatever you want. But don't go out there and dedicate a lot of time and resources to specific marketing activities until you test them out, right? It goes back to like what Eric was saying with spaghetti on the wall. You throw it, you see what sticks. And we've talked about this so many times. And companies, when they go into marketing, they budget out line items for specific and different type of activities. And then they just go and they're like, oh, okay, well, we budgeted $100,000 this year for blogging. We need to spend $100,000. I don't look at it that way. You should budget out how much you want to spend in marketing or how much time if it's just people. And then you can let them determine based on the ROI where they should be spending and focusing their efforts.
The other thing I notice is that a lot of marketing teams, they try all these different things, but they aren't tracking and they also aren't really keeping the team in the loop in terms of what the exact goals are. So, it ends up being that the entire team's running around with their heads cut off. It's not the best use of resources because you're trying all these different things, you're spending all this money, but you don't know what the goal is at the end of the day. So, using the right tools to track, setting OKRs, so those are objectives and key results, setting certain KPIs for people to meet and then going over them every single week. It is important because if you're not tracking, if you're not measuring, you're not able to manage what you're doing. So, some tools I like, I've talked about in the past. One is called Cyfe. That's CYFE.com. I think it's $20 a month. You can make unlimited dashboards. I know Google recently just came out with some new dashboards that you can do some cool stuff with. But you want to make sure that you're setting these things up. And if you don't know what OKRs are, you can just Google or go to YouTube and type in OKR Google, and then there's a video literally done by Google on how to set objectives and key results. And this goes all the way back to the days of Intel when they were starting out. So you can see how important those are, but you want to make sure that the entire team is aligned. You're wasting your effort if you're trying these things and then 3 months later, 6 months later, you're not even sure like what happened exactly and you just lost your shirt and you're probably going to lose your job.
With marketing as well, the biggest reason we're seeing channels being wasted is people not tracking their ROI correctly. So before you do any marketing campaign, set up Google Analytics correctly. Not just putting a JavaScript on there, but make sure you're tracking goals, conversions. And if Google Analytics isn't accurate, then pull it from your database. I know that sounds like a pain in the butt, and it really is. But you can go to like Upwork.com, find a developer to help you do this. And the reason you want to is if you don't know what's producing a ROI or has a chance of producing a ROI, then you're just going to continually lose money, right? So don't fly blindly. Make sure you have some numbers that back up your claims or your gut feelings or whatever it may be, so then you're on the right path.
Make sure that you're tracking the right stuff at the end of the day. So let's say you're doing a link building campaign. Sure, you can track your rankings. That is, a metric that's going up and down. But what if you're tracking keywords that don't drive, a good amount of traffic? When you're tracking metrics, ideally each metric has a pairing metric, right? So if you're tracking keywords, you might be tracking organic traffic at the same time, or you're looking at organic revenue too, because these are the things that are more closely related to the bottom line, right? It's not the rankings that are going to get you where you need to be later. It's really the other stuff. So don't try to, just make sure that you're not tracking vanity metrics. You want to track metrics that will actually move the needle. Now, again, I'm not saying that rankings don't matter. It's certainly some type of a metric that matters, but I'd say it's less important than organic traffic or organic revenue from an SEO perspective. Neil, anything to add before we close it off?
I'm good on my end.
All right, great. That's it for this episode of Marketing School. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you tomorrow.
This session of Marketing School has come to a close. Be sure to subscribe for more daily marketing strategies and tactics to help you find the success you've always dreamed of. And don't forget to rate and review so we can continue to bring you the best daily content possible. We'll see you in class tomorrow, right here on Marketing School.